Hi, and welcome to Mark's Motivational Podcast, where we dive deep into the stories behind the storytellers. Today, I'm delighted to be joined by Emma Davis as an accomplished children's author and poet, inspired by authors like Enid Blyton, and has since blossomed into a successful career. She's the author of two charming rhyming children's books, Three Mucky Pups and its Squirrels, Pups, Pancakes and Pandemonium, both set against scenic illustrations of Cork artist Spark Deeley. Emma's creative journey also extends into poetry, with her work exhibited in galleries and online. Today, we will explore her inspirations, creative processes, and what it's like to balance family life with her passion for writing. Emma, welcome to the show. Thanks a lot for joining me.
Hello. Hi, Mark. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's great to meet you. Thanks a lot for joining me today. Thanks a lot for joining me.
It's great to be here.
Yeah, thank you so much. So you might just start the podcast off, if you wouldn't mind telling the listeners a little bit about yourself and your journey as a writer so far would be a great place to start.
I am a mom of two girls, and I live in Cork, in Ballyvourney in County Cork. And we live way out in the countryside. And where we live, it's quite near the Derrynasaggart mountains, that range of mountains. So the landscape is very rugged, very isolated, quite sparse. And I definitely feel that at the moment, am inspired by this area, and that is definitely um, I explore that in my work, and it is definitely um, an inspiration for my stories. I've been writing for as long as I can remember.
Hmm.
Um, I've always loved telling stories, even as a small child. So this is a real dream come true for me to have actually published two real stories.
Right. Yeah, I can see that there. You said in your bio you've been writing for as far back as you can remember. That's great. And when you
Yeah, as long as
yeah
I could write,
yeah
yeah.
yeah yeah, and particularly for children, was the path you wanted to um pursue professionally, your stories, Three Mucky Pups and its Squirrels draw from your family influence, your creative process.
Yeah, funnily enough, when I never saw myself as a children's author as such. I always enjoyed writing, and I was always writing poetry and prose as a teenager and things like that. But um, I think what happened was I started writing poetry for friends at weddings and for birthdays and things like that. So they were always kind of light-hearted, fun, usually rhyming. And people said it to me that maybe that my writing was quite childlike, and that maybe that would appeal to children. And I think it wasn't until we had our own children that um, we were reading so many children's stories for bedtime and that. And I just thought, you know what, maybe I could make a crack at this. So I did. And I like that. I just took my inspiration from where I was at that time in life.
And how many books have you got out at the moment? How many books are in the series?
Just two.
Just two. Great. Yeah.
I have them here.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the
Would you like
two
to show them to
books.
the people looking on YouTube? Oh, they're really good. Really, really
Yeah,
good.
yeah. It's the Three Mucky Pups, and
Great.
then the sequel,
Great.
Pancakes and Pandemonium.
Brilliant. They're brilliant. And where did the ideas for the names come from? I love the names. They're brilliant.
Um, yeah, well, the first one was quite straightforward, really. We used to go on family walks.
Mm.
Um, Up the mountain was quite wild, and we had two family dogs at the time, and one little girl, and then so she used to pretend to be a pup herself, and she'd mimic the dogs and things like that. She was only about 3 or 4,
Yeah.
so we used to pretend we were walking three dogs instead of two dogs and a child. So that's where the name Three Mucky Pups came from.
Yeah.
And then the second book, then we'd had another little girl in the meantime, so she joined us, and I wanted to kind of make a different story, but with the same characters.
Yeah.
So we made it an indoor winter adventure. So we did the idea was that we that they went baking or cooking in the end. So they love making pancakes, and they still do actually.
Yeah.
So the idea was that the the pancakes created pandemonium together.
Brilliant. That's great. Yeah, thanks. Because your illustrations are really good. The illustration in your books are brought to life by Cork artist Spark Delaney. How did you collaborate with her?
Sparked
Uh,
Deeley.
Deanie from
Um,
Leishgal. Sorry.
um, yeah, yeah. No, so I was linked to Spark through a mutual friend,
Mm.
and I contacted her, and we met up, and I showed her my writing, and she showed me her work, and I absolutely loved her artwork. And luckily, she agreed to do the illustrations for the books. So I definitely I definitely had, like, I had a lot of imagery, a lot of description, and I wanted her to capture that. So she captured it so well. I couldn't believe it was incredible. Like, I gave her the photographs of the dogs, photographs of the girls, some photographs of the house, and she just made magic with her brush. It was amazing. I
Yeah.
think that we gelled really well creatively in that way.
Hmm. Right. Yeah.
I
Yeah, it's
thought
quite
she did an amazing job.
brilliant. And it's great when that works out like that when you meet somebody that understands what you want, isn't it?
Yeah, she just
Yeah.
got it. She
Mm.
just seemed to really, yeah, and she through the illustrations as well, she brought the humor and the chaos into
Brilliant.
into the paintings,
Brilliant.
into, yeah, yeah. So it was definitely a labor of love.
Right. And would you like to maybe just show people watching on YouTube just a few of the pages of the book just so they get an idea, please, Emma? Be
Yeah,
great.
yeah, yeah, definitely. Some beautiful. Yeah, there's one particular photograph or picture of.
Oh, brilliant.
Can you see it?
Yeah, yeah, it's great. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Let's see if there's another one. That's a picture of them going home at the end of the walk.
Oh, wow. That's great. Yeah. Great stuff.
Yeah, no,
Brilliant.
they're incredible.
Yeah.
And the other book then, there's a picture of some of the chaos.
Oh, yeah. Great, great stuff.
Can you see it?
Yeah, they're very well done, aren't they?
Yeah, and
Yeah,
yeah, they're fabulous, absolutely
yeah,
fabulous.
yeah.
I'll see, is there another lovely one? I'll try to find it here now. There's another one of them looking out at the rain.
Oh, yeah. That's great. Yeah. Great stuff.
Yeah,
Brilliant. Yeah,
yeah. There are more, but
yeah.
yeah. Will I show you one more?
Yeah, please. That'd be great. Yeah, yeah.
That's them. Yeah, that's them baking. Can you see? That's them making pancakes near the end.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Really good.
Yeah,
There's
it was
some
lovely
great,
detail.
great animation there, isn't there? It's really good and really,
Yeah,
really expresses it,
yeah,
doesn't it? Yeah, great stuff. And
yeah, yeah. She really brought the story to life.
would you like to maybe read just the introduction to the book, so just give people a feel for it as well. Emma, just maybe
Yeah,
the
yeah,
description
yeah.
would be great. Thank you.
Yeah, okay. So I'll read this is the second book, Pups, Pancakes and Pandemonium, and it involves the two girls and the two dogs.
Yeah, right. Looking forward to this.
Um okay. It was a wet and windy day up in the mountains far away. Gusty gales and lashing rain swept along a winding lane. The birds could find no songs to sing, sheltered beneath a feathered wing. And at the gable of a house, amongst the haystacks, hid a mouse. The dogs refused to venture out. Today they lazed and lounged about. They stretched and scratched and yawned and dozed, with no exertion being imposed. Sooty Suka and Golden Sam enjoyed a day of peace and calm. The mucky puppies of the West huddled together for a rest.
Wow, that is brilliant. Well done. Great stuff. Have you thought about audio books as well, because you read them so well? Like, have you done that yourself,
Oh,
Emma?
thank you.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's definitely something down the line. Yeah,
yeah,
I'm looking into that.
yeah. Because like the way you read them is
Yeah, it would
brilliant.
be
Like,
lovely to.
yeah, great stuff.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, yeah, and I think that um definitely it's the way forward.
Mm,
I think lots of people are on Kindle, lots of people are listening to audiobooks and children
yeah,
as well.
definitely.
So
Yeah,
even the printable book, as sad as it is to say, I think it's nearly going out of fashion to
yeah.
actually read
An actual
a
paper book.
proper book.
Yeah,
Yeah, so I think I'm going to have to move with the times.
yeah. But you still can't beat the paper book. Sure, you can't. But like, you just like the physical book. I just love to have that there. Yeah,
Well, yeah, I definitely do too. I definitely do too. But I know that it seems to be a trend. People are moving on to their phones and tablets and scrolling through
yeah.
and listening and looking at the pictures that way. So I'd love to, yeah, down the line, I'd love to do something like that.
Yeah, it's a good idea. No, it'd be really good because the way you, as I said, the way you read the books is phenomenal. It's really powerful. So well done with that. Yeah, great stuff.
Oh, thank you,
Yeah,
Mark.
yeah, great stuff. And you've also written poetry, um, and exhibited your work in galleries. How does writing for children differ from writing poetry for you? And do these two creative outlets ever influence each other?
Yes, absolutely, they do. That's a really good question. Um, like I suppose in one way the children's poetry is very kind of musical and rhythmical and
Yeah,
you know when I am reading it to a group of children they can almost guess the word at the end of the line or they're clapping their hands along to it.
yeah.
So that can be that it could differ that way in that it's very simple.
Hmm.
I definitely carry that into my adult poetry because I still love to rhyme. I love the challenge of rhyming,
Yeah,
even if it's a more serious theme, and I like that flow, and I think it kind of keeps a reader engaged,
yeah, yeah,
um, maybe a little bit more, but also I've overlapped in that I have written poems about my dogs.
yeah. Right.
And I've written poems about the children, but from an adult perspective, from a different perspective. So there would be more serious themes.
Yeah.
And I've also written poems about nature and things like that, but they would be from a different angle.
Mm,
And I think sometimes as well, the adult poetry, it's a little bit freer in that it doesn't necessarily have to rhyme
right.
because
Yeah.
an adult will stay engaged longer than a child
Mm,
would, I think, usually.
yeah. Yeah. Great. No, yeah, no, that's brilliant because even the way you're saying, like you love to rhyme, I think anybody seems to remember stuff in rhyme, and especially children, like it makes it fun. And for having rhymes, nursery rhymes always stick. Did you bear that in mind when you were writing the stories, Emma?
Yeah, yeah, and you know what? I think it's from trying to get our own children to sleep at night,
Yeah, yeah.
and we're all tired,
Mhm.
and sometimes it's some nights it's easier than others. Obviously, for anyone whose children will know that. And
Yeah.
I think that we were. I just think I wanted to read something or write something, produce something that would engage both the parents and the children, because at
Hmm.
that stage, the parents are doing most of the reading. So it's nice that the parents enjoy the story as well, or that they can, that it's easy to read,
Hmm.
um, that it flows, and that they can have fun reading it together. So like
Yeah,
that guessing when it rhymes so easily that you can guess the word at the end.
yeah,
Or if
definitely.
you've read the story a few times, I know our own little girl used to know the story off by heart
Hmm.
in the end. Not
Yeah.
our story, but this a particular story that she used to really like. I think
Mm.
it was Percy the Park Keeper or
Okay.
something like that. And again, it was about little animals and the park
Mm.
and the wood. And she loved the stories. We read them the same stories every night, and
Mm.
she knew it off by heart. So I wanted to do something like that that the children would enjoy. So I hope I have achieved that with
Yeah,
them.
definitely. Yeah, yeah. No, no, that's great because repetition is the mother of all skill, as you say. The more you you tell them, it's gonna stick. So that's great. And
Yeah,
you've mentioned that authors like Ian Blyton and
yeah.
influenced you as a child. How um how did their dark humor and imagination shape your writing style? And do you see these as influence in your children's books today?
Um, yeah, I used to be very captured by Enid Blyton's imaginative stories, the faraway tree and the wishing chair, and I used
Yeah,
to love the escapism that
yeah,
that she had with I used to totally dive into those stories as a kid. So I think in the first story I definitely where our daughter Roisin transforms into a dog and escapes from her world of being a child and turns into this dog that's exploring the world from a dog's perspective. So I think I've sort of delved into fantasy land in that way.
mhm,
But then with Roald Dahl, definitely I used to love he's a very dark kind of humor. So like he had some dark stories like The Witches and
yeah,
Matilda, and they were like horrific stories, but he seemed to write them in a way that appealed to a child's dark sense of humor.
yeah,
And
yeah.
the idea as well of finding finding fun in the villain's misfortune as
Hmm.
well, or some figure of authority that um that that they get their comeuppance in the end. So
Hmm.
I think in the second story, um I wanted to portray myself in the mommy and character in the story as being totally bewildered with her family that have gone crazy and that she can't control them at all. So when I was reading it to children, I think they enjoyed that, where
Yeah.
mommy wasn't coping at all and she was giving out to everyone, and
Mm.
nothing was going her way. And
Yeah.
um, I think it was kind of fun to poke fun at myself, actually.
Hmm. Yeah.
So I think that's where I would have tried to see the dark humor.
Hmm. Yeah. And great, thanks a lot for explaining. That's great. And have you been to
Mm.
schools to do readings yourself, Emma? Like, have you been to any schools? Like, what age group would you say these books are for?
Yeah, I have. I have been actually to Scotland doing for World Book Day. So I
Yeah.
did I did readings in schools there. Um, and the first story, the Three Mucky Pups, this is the first story,
Mm.
and this would I think you could read it to a 3-year-old child.
Okay.
But then maybe a 6 or 7 year old child might enjoy reading it themselves.
I get you. Yeah. Yeah.
And then, if they were a good reader. And then this book then might be, I read this book to kind of 8 year olds. So it was
Okay.
like third class,
Oh yeah. Yeah. Great.
second and third class, we say.
Mm,
So the first book was really just for infants, and
okay.
they enjoyed that. And then, yeah, because the language in the second book is a little bit more complicated. There are bigger
Oh,
words,
yeah. Yeah.
bigger, more vocabulary.
Yeah. Because as a children's author myself, I find going into schools, the kids ask great questions, don't they? They really kind of it's great for them, isn't it, to get them involved with the style of writing that you do.
Yeah, they ask really interesting
Yeah.
questions.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really found myself thinking hard to answer
Mm,
their questions, and
yeah.
they won't let you away with anything.
Oh,
They're very they're very clever.
yeah. 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 Like that must have been a great experience going to Scotland for that event.
Yeah, yeah, it was brilliant. It was nerve-wracking at first, but
Yeah.
then once you sit down and start reading,
Mm,
um yeah, I find they're really into it, and they absolutely love to share their
mm,
stories about their own families, their own dogs,
yeah.
incidences when they were baking. I mean, it all came out.
Yeah. Great
all,
stuff. Yeah.
all the antics at home.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so it was great. No, it was lovely. It was lovely.
Yeah, sounds great. Sounds brilliant. Thanks a lot for sharing that. That's
Yeah.
brilliant. And you've been involved in podcasts like what's it called? Eat the
Eat the
Storms
storms.
for Poetry
Yeah.
Day Ireland. How has participating in platforms like podcasts um uh, impacted?
About the podcast, it was definitely a privilege to be chosen
Yeah,
um for that. And I definitely felt very encouraged by the listeners and the readers of any of the galleries or any of the spoken word events that I've participated in with my own poetry. And I definitely feel that any of the listeners or readers have been very, very, very supportive, very, very complimentary. Um, and it's incredible, really, how um, people can really keep each other going, encourage each other, support each other, and I suppose it helps me feel that I'm on the right path.
hmm
That I'm doing the right thing for myself. That it's not just um, that it's not just a figment of my own imagination. That
yeah,
this is really happening.
mm,
And the other thing, I suppose, what advice I would give to people, I would say keep plugging away. Um, you know, don't mind the bumps in the road, just keep going. Um, join join a group if it's down the pub some night of the week or the local library. Join a writing group, or even go on Facebook and join a group. There are loads of groups. I'm actually an admin of a writing group myself,
right, right, yeah, yeah,
Shop Irish Writers, and it's a very supportive and safe space for people to share their writing and to share their work and their latest events and things like that. And I think by doing that, or getting involved in a writing prompt, I think all of those things really help us to. I think it gives me a push anyway to keep
yeah,
keep going. I've
mm,
written lots of poems through prompts that I wouldn't have
right,
done otherwise. And the other thing I'd say is keep reading, anything at all. Read what you enjoy, write what you enjoy, and um, don't be afraid to use the thesaurus. I use it all the time to find a better word.
Hmm.
you're kind of trying to find a word and you
Yeah.
can't think um, of a better way to say it.
Mhm.
Open up the thesaurus or look it up online and just to keep exploring different words, different ways of saying things. And I think it all comes together.
That's great advice, Emma. Thanks so much for that. Yeah, brilliant. Because
Oh,
just,
thanks.
just getting back to the podcast for a little bit there. What can you just tell the
Yeah,
listeners how to find that and a little bit more about it would be great, Emma. Thanks so much. Excuse me.
Eat the Storms.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Eat the Storms is it's a podcast that Damien Donnelly runs,
Okay.
and he features different poets all the time. It's always running. But for Poetry Day Ireland, it's usually in April,
Okay.
mid-April, mid to the end of April every year. He does a particular Poetry Day event, and he requests one poet from every county of Ireland, all 32 counties, to contribute a poem.
Okay.
And often Poetry Day has a theme. So one year it was, or last year it was, or this year just gone by was good sports, and the year before I think it was message in a bottle, and before that it was written in the stars. So it's again it's good motivation or like a prompt to have a topic that you could write about, but he doesn't. You don't have to. You could just submit a poem of your own choosing as well. So this particular podcast, I entered a poem about Bugan Barra, which is
Mhm.
the an old monastic site in County Cork. It's actually local to me,
Okay. Yeah.
and I thought that was very Cork.
Hmm. Yeah.
It was a very a feature that people could identify with if they
Great.
were
Emma.
to listen to it.
Great. And yes, yeah. Well, you might just when you're sending over your links as well, you might share that as well to me so I can put it on the show notes as well, please.
Yeah, yeah, the poem for Eat the Storms.
Yeah, please. Yeah, that'd be great. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, yeah,
great stuff. Yeah, and I 100% agree with you about the prompts, like, because I'm involved in a writers group myself, and the half an hour prompt,
yeah,
is a great thing, isn't it? Because the stories that you make up and the people in the group do is incredible.
yeah, yeah. And it's incredible how, it could just be an image or three
Yeah.
words
Mhm.
or a sentence to start off.
Yeah.
And it's amazing how everyone can take it in such different directions.
Yeah. 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 Like,
It
like
can be really good fun.
yeah. Because people have actually, even myself personally, even written a book on the prompts that I've got over the year. Like, it's incredible. Its story starts and it keeps going on. Like, it's great, isn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah. And you don't know where it's going to go yourself.
yeah, yeah. It's great. No, that's brilliant. Thanks for that, for sharing all this with me. And can I ask as well, what way have you found the best
Oh,
way to kind
definitely.
of market your books, like for the marketing side of things? What way have you found the best for yourself for getting your books sold, I suppose.
I definitely feel Facebook and Instagram have been really good platforms.
Okay. Yeah.
Um, and I think the independent bookshops are very good. I've found them very helpful, very open, and um, definitely word of mouth.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely. Yeah. Yeah.
And I think the readings, if you were like that now, when I went to the readings in the schools, um, it was a um, it was a really good opportunity to sell books.
Yeah. Great stuff. Have you went to any markets yourself, Emma? Have you visited any local markets? to sell your books?
Yeah, I've done. Yeah, Christmas markets have been very good. So when the books were first launched, um, the local Christmas markets were good
Right.
for selling.
Selling your stuff. Yeah, brilliant. That's great. Yeah. Yeah, no, I'll be happy to
Yeah,
share all your links for people to check out as well, Emma. For all your stories, your great stories.
yeah,
And then if you want to maybe send me on the link to your illustrator as well, because the pictures were amazing. Yeah.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And can I ask you as well, Emma, one thing, what are you most proud of so far as a writer? What one thing are you most proud of in your writing career?
Um, oh, that's a really tough question. I think I'm really, really proud. I still can't really believe, I think, that I actually published two books.
Yeah.
Um, so I am really, really proud of myself for doing that. And I think it was something that I always said I will do it, I will do it. And then um life, you know, the way life um it was like I was a writer and then I had children and everything kind of gets pushed to the side
Yeah.
for a time. And then one day it was just time to get back to it. So taking that leap was actually nerve-wracking and very exciting at the same time. And I think I'm really, really glad I did it. And I'm really glad I had the support of my family to do it.
Right. Yeah, that's great. No, well, absolutely well done to you. Your work is amazing. Great stuff. And it's been an
Thank
absolute pleasure
you.
having you on the podcast today.
Oh, thank you. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you, Mark.
Yeah, no, great. And is there anything else I haven't asked you, Emma, that you'd like to maybe mention on the podcast before we go?
Um, no, I think you covered it all.
Oh,
I can't think of anything.
yeah. No, I
Yeah.
wish you all the success going forward with everything you do with your great work. And what's next for yourself? What's next on the horizon? Anything that you want to let people know to
I have
expect?
to watch this space. I have a my debut poetry collection. I'm hoping to launch in the spring.
And where would you do the launch? Is it at the local libraries? Is it or
Um, do you know what? I'm not sure yet. I'm not sure where I'll launch it or who'll have me. But I would like to have it out there by the spring,
yeah? So when you're doing it, just
somewhere in
put
Cork
yeah,
anyway.
yeah. Should send me the link when you're doing it, and then I can share it on the podcast as well for you.
Yeah, thank you. That'll be fantastic.
Yeah, great stuff. Okay, Emma, thanks so much for coming on.
Yeah,
It's an absolute
the more
pleasure
the
meeting you.
merrier.
Yeah,
Okay, thank
yeah,
you, Mark. Pleasure to meet you too. Thanks for having me.
no problem. So
Lovely
thanks,
talking to you.
great talking to you, and make sure everybody check out all the links to Emma Davis's books, great books on the show notes, and thanks a lot for all the listeners tonight and the people watching on YouTube. So till next time, take good care of yourselves, and thanks again, Emma. Thanks for coming on the podcast.
Thank you.
Take care. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Hello everyone, Mark here. Thank you for watching another episode of my Authors Tuesday podcast. I recently published a book of children's stories called The Adventures of Larry Lamppost and Friends. The book began life as bedtime stories I wrote for my own children. If you'd like to purchase my book, follow the link in the description box below. By buying my book, you are also supporting my podcast series for authors, which is giving a voice to writers in Ireland and across the world.